In the early hours of 3 separate nights in May, fires were deliberately set at properties connected to the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, a car he once owned, a home he once lived in, a property linked to his family were all targeted. And these weren't random acts of vandalism. They were deliberate, coordinated and chilling attacks on democracy itself. 3 men have since been arrested and charged, 2 Ukrainian-born nationals and 1 Romanian citizen, all young, all seemingly unremarkable. 2 of them we know are models, all of them at the centre of a question that reaches far beyond the streets of Kentish Town and into the dark machinery of global espionage. So to begin with what we know, the individuals charged, Roman Lavrinovich, Petro Podchionok, and Stanislav Karpiuch, all face counts of arson with intent to endanger life. And the attacks occurred over a 4-day period with Lavrinovich allegedly involved in each incident. These young men, described as models or entrepreneurs, have no known ideological links to Russia. Many rumours have been circulated. One even posted pro-Ukrainian content online, and yet British intelligence, specifically the Met's Counter-Terrorism Command, is now examining whether these men may have been recruited by Russian operatives. Actors in Russia, say senior Whitehall sources, may have been orchestrating a broader campaign, and this would not be entirely out of sync with the information which is coming in across Europe. I need to emphasise the investigation is ongoing. The charges are criminal, not national security related, so it would be wrong to speculate too much. But the fact that counter-terrorism officers are leading the inquiry is telling, and the story doesn't unfold in a vacuum. This is really the point. Since 2022, Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine has triggered a new Cold War of sabotage across Europe. Arson attacks in Poland, Lithuania, Germany have already been linked to Russian proxy efforts. Arson, that's the common denominator. In Estonia, intelligence services reported operatives paid to damage property linked to government ministers. MI6 chief Richard Moore put it more bluntly last October. Russia's intelligence agencies, he said, have gone a bit feral. And the objective? Chaos. Not always assassination or destruction, but chaos, disruption. Theatrical enough to generate headlines and uncertain enough to sow doubt and division. And in this case, to throw the blame in other directions, to cast doubt on other countries. These attacks on Starmer's former properties could neatly fit into such a pattern. They threaten the safety of a democratic leader, and more subtly, they test our systems, policing, media, political response for fractures. If it is theatre, yes, but theatre with a global script. And at this stage, no direct evidence has been made public linking these 3 suspects to the Kremlin, but there are now articles and media links suggesting that this is the case. So there have been briefings. They all deny all the charges. There's no indication they were even aware, if Russian interests were involved, that they were pawns in a larger game. But this is precisely the danger of modern sabotage. Were these 3 individuals just simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? Plausible deniability is baked into the work of the Russian Secret Service. The lines between criminality and espionage blur. If Moscow used local proxies, especially young migrants drawn by money or manipulated through coercion, how would we ever prove intent? And that uncertainty itself is part of the strategy. So Keir Starmer described the attacks as an assault on us all, on democracy and the values we stand for. That's not rhetorical excess. If it's established that a hostile foreign state targeted the Prime Minister's personal safety, even through indirect means, it would be an act of political aggression, and it raises uncomfortable questions about state vulnerability. How secure are our leaders? How secure is our country? How secure our infrastructure? How many fashion entrepreneurs, how many modelling hopefuls are actually operatives, messengers, or just unwitting, desperate participants in malign campaigns? Moreover, how should the UK respond if Russia is implicated? Sanctions, expulsions, cyber retaliation, or more? These questions hang heavily in Whitehall, where, according to the Financial Times, for example, contingency discussions are already underway. This isn't the first time, or this wouldn't be the first time, that Russia has brought its vengeance onto British soil. Salisbury. What this case reveals, regardless of whether the Russian link is ultimately proven, is that we live in a world where democratic resilience cannot be assumed. The match struck on a North London doorstep may have been lit by hands we do not yet understand. The flame illuminates the precariousness of our politics and the vulnerability in which we find ourselves. It reminds us that warfare today doesn't always begin with tanks or missiles. Sometimes it begins with a petrol can in the night and the silence that follows before the sirens. We need to hope that this investigation proceeds swiftly and transparently, and for in an age of disinformation, the truth, however complex, is the first line of defense. But then we have to ask, what do we do next? How do we respond to threats of this nature? Because if today they're attacking the Prime Minister, tomorrow they could be attacking you. And I'm not sure that our country is secure. I'm not sure we are so dependent in terms of communication, in terms of food, in terms of electricity and power. We are so dependent on a web of cables, on a complex network of reliance, which I think is deeply vulnerable. We need to be very careful. We need to be vigilant.